you might have heard it somewhere else that Git is a version control system and you don't know how it works, how to use it. Don't worry, I'm gonna ease the burden so you can feel comfortable working with Git. So if you found this video to be useful, just help me out by subscribing to the channel and like the video as well. You can also share as well. So with that said, let's jump right in. As I said earlier, it's a version control system. So Git basically tracks the changes to your code, and it does that by saving a snapshot of your code. That's a copy of your code. It keeps track of every portion and changes you made to your code. Git also helps synchronizes code between different people. So you might be working on a project with someone else and you want the person to know the latest version of your code. So basically, you all have access to one version of your code or repository. You can each make changes to the file and push them to GitHub. And you can also do likewise by pulling from GitHub. So you have the recent version of the code. You've heard GitHub, right? Well, think of it like kind of a site that keeps your code. So I just open my VS Code and I'll be creating an index.html file here. So I'll use the exclamation mark to generate the boilerplate code, that's the template. So I'll start with a heading. Getting started with Git and GitHub. So you open your command line with Ctrl+ or Ctrl+J. So the first Git command is git init. So basically, git init initializes an empty Git repository. So to start using Git, you first of all need to initialize a Git. So you also have Git status or Git status. So basically, Git status show the track files and on-track files that you have commit or staged. So we have an on-track files as index.html, which is not being tracked by Git. So, and you have a helpful suggestion here that to add or to track these files, you need to use git add, then the file name. So that's the next step. So the next step is going to be git add, then the file name. So git add index.html. There we go. So let's go back to git status again. Okay, so you can see it's now in green. So this file is being tracked by Git. So any changes you made to Git this file will be tracked by Git. The next command is git commit -m, and in a string your message. It basically means just write some brief description of the changes you just made or what you just did. So since it's our first commit, you can describe it as first commit or whatever. So I'll commit with a message of working with Git. As you can see, we have one file change and 12 insertions. The one file change is the index.html, and when we look at the index.html, you can see we have 12 lines of code. That's basically it. So when we run git status again, you can see we are on the branch master and we have nothing to commit, and we are working on a tree clean. So in this situation, our code is being tracked by Git for any changes. So all these changes are happening on your local machine for you to reflect on a particular server or site and can have access to it anytime. That's when the GitHub comes in. So it's kind of a site for hosting your code, so you can have access to it at any point in time. So you can visit the github.com and create a free account. So I'm already have an account here. As you can see, about 29 repository available that I'm working with. So you can go ahead and create a free account. So I'll click on the repositories and I'll be creating a new repository in here. So in here we are supposed to provide our repository name, and I'm going to name it as getting started Git. We also have the description here, that's optional. You can provide a description based on your repository name. And also we have public and private access. Making it public means anyone can have access to it, and private means only you can have access to it. You can proceed to create the repository. So as you can see, this was what we were initially doing, initializing our Git with Git init, and also making a commit. So we can branch to the main. We are already in a master branch, so you can also decide to branch to the main. We also need to tell Git we are pushing this kind of code to this kind of repository, so we need to copy the Git remote add origin. So Git remote add origin, then the URL basically tells Git that I'm pushing this kind of file to this URL. If you happen to branch to the main, then we push to the main. Otherwise, we are going to push to the master branch. So that's basically it. So the last step is git push -u origin master, meaning we are pushing the code to the master branch. You can create different branches. There we go. So when we refresh the browser, we can see our code is available here. That's the index.html file with our commit message, and also it was being made 2 hours ago. So that's how Git works. So let's modify the code by adding an h3 tag with a message of Git is fun, and saving the changes, and open our command line and check out the status. We can see we have one file being modified, and that's the index.html file. It has been modified. So we need to add to the stage by using get add. You can use get add and a space and a period. In this situation, it adds every file committed. There we go. So after adding, you can check out it has been committed to the stage, which is in green file, meaning it's on track. And proceed with git commit with a message. So in here, I'll make a message of add a heading. Proceed with git status. So you can see we only made changes to our local machine. It needs to reflect on GitHub, that's the site. So we should use git push. You can see your branch is ahead of origin master by 1 commit. So adding git push will update the code there. So let's refresh our browser and see. We can see our new commit message, which was being made 30 seconds ago. When we check our index.html file, you can see it updates the code on the site. So that's basically how Git and GitHub works. You add a Git, you commit, you push, add, commit, push. So I'll be creating a different file here. That's style.css. I first of all need to link it. So within the head, I will link my style so I can proceed styling. So I'll move within it and target the H1 rather, and give it a color of blue. So when we open our terminal and run git status, we can see our file has been modified within the index.html file, and we have one on track file, that's the style.css. So we need to add all these files to the stage by using git add. In space and period, it will add everything to the stage, and we proceed by giving it a commit message with a git commit with a message of add a style. Yeah, you can see we have 2 files changing. Then we proceed with git push to update the code there. So basically that's how Git and GitHub works. If you find this to be useful, I can dive in deeper. Leave a comment in the section below. There's more in this. See you in our next tutorial. Until then, stay tuned.